In this special Halloween edition of What's New, go behind the scenes of one of the state's most haunted locations, Salem, and learn about the spooktacular new Haunted Happenings event at Cinema Salem on Sunday, October 29th, with the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast's official psychic, Lucky Bel Camino, and visit some of New England's most haunted hotels with author and What's New co-host, Sam Baltrusis. What's new for Halloween? Here are your ghoulish co-hosts, Sharon Filion and Sam Baltrusis.
And welcome to the special Halloween edition of What's New Massachusetts. My name is Sam Baltrusis. I'm an author and journalist. Joining me today is my ghoulish co-host, Sharon Filia.
Hello, Sam. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I'm getting into the Halloween spirit.
So am I. You know why I like Halloween? Candy. But Halloween isn't candy for you. You've spent a lot of your time in Salem.
I do. I give tours in Salem, and I normally try to avoid Salem in October. But this year I'm going full throttle, spending a lot of time there. The reason why is because I'm on 2 national TV shows that feature Salem.
Yes, and I was on set for one of them. It was so much fun. But we had a little experience with your makeup.
Yeah, so Sharon was doing my makeup, and I was on set for the Travel Channel, and I was sitting on a bench at the Senior Center, and so we were there. They actually they didn't tell us to get out, but they kind of were circling around us, like, what are you doing here? And I think that maybe the guy had a crush on you.
I don't know. I think he just wanted us to get out. So I just said, Sam, I think we have to go. But luckily, everything worked out well. Your makeup came out well, and so did your piece on the Travel Channel.
And I got a number for you, too.
You got a number for me? Oh, no! That guy was 182. What?
Oh, he was only 95. But his name was Giles Corey. I'm just kidding.
Oh, my God.
Just kidding. So, Salem. Yeah, so I'm doing a lot in Salem this season.
Right.
I'm going to do an event on October 29th, which is a Sunday, from 5 to 8 p.m. at Cinema Salem,
Right.
which was one of the locations featured in the show that I was on Destination America. It was called Haunted Towns. And that's where I talk about a ghost pig.
And now this was a soundbite that was picked up, like ghost pig. So it was on social media. Now Sam does a lot with haunted and the occult and all that. But what happened with this ghost pig?
I talk about the sightings. This is in my book, Ghosts of Salem, Haunts of the Witch City, and I talk about a spectral pig sighting in 1692
Right.
that was used to accuse and execute an innocent woman of witchcraft. Her name was Alice Parker.
Right.
And then the people that were interviewing me on the show were saying, well, they thought I was insane, that I was a ghost pig. And I'm like, because I said spectral hog, and they were like, what's a spectral hog? I'm like, it's a ghost pig, okay? It's a ghost pig. And so that was picked up, and of course they played that clip.
You're kidding me. And now you'll be known as the ghost pig guy.
I am the ghost pig guy. I'm also an author, so it's one of many things that I've done in my past. And so the Travel Channel, I talk about a first-hand encounter that I had in the old Bearing Points in Salem. And I've written several books. I have a new book coming out, which was 13 Most Haunted Hotels of New England.
Yes.
And that is amazing. I traveled all over New England to find the most haunted locations.
Oh, that must have been so much fun. That must have been fun.
It really was. And one of the locations that didn't make my book was Hotel Salem, because it hasn't opened up yet.
Oh my goodness. But it's so exciting because, there's so much history. There's so much history in what you write about that goes back a long way. So if you're interested, pick up Sam's book.
Now, there is a great magic show that's happening in Salem, and it's called Salem Screams Phobias.
Oh.
And I didn't tell you this, but one of my phobias is birds.
Wait a minute. But this is my pet bird, Poe. What, Poe? Do you like Sam? He said he wants to, say hi to you. You don't want to say... But, Poe, I'm sorry. Yes, sweetheart. Yes. No, Sam doesn't want you. We're going to have to put Poe to the side. I'm sorry, honey. We have to put you over here. Are you sure you don't want to say hi?
Sharon, Poe has got to go.
Oh, Poe, you got to go, brother. Okay, we're over here. He's over here now.
And I also have this amazing crystal ball.
Ooh.
And maybe we can ask when you're going to meet your man.
I'm afraid to ask. What do you think it's going to say?
Crystal ball, when is Sharon going to meet her man?
Oh, this doesn't sound good. Okay, Sam, this is not promising at all. I think I'll stick with Poe.
I think that she's saying that you're going to meet your man at Halloween.
I think this is my man here, Poe. What
And
do you
he's
think?
95 years old.
That's terrible.
And he's in Salem. So we're going to check out my trailer for my new book, 13 Most Haunted Hotels and Inns of New England.
Listen up, guys and ghouls. It's Sam Baltrusis, author of 8 historical-based ghost books, including Ghosts to Salem, Haunts of the Witch City. With Halloween creeping around the corner, I've unleashed my latest little monster, 13 Most Haunted Hotels and Inns of New England. From the Witch City's Hawthorne Hotel in Salem, to the spectacular Biltmore in Providence, to the bloodstained Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast in Fall River, I traveled all over New England in search of the 13 most haunted hotels. My new book is coming out October 2017. I hope you enjoy your stay.
We're here with a very special guest who's also my co-host, Mr. Sam Baltrusis. So Sam has written at least 8 books, and the latest one is The 13 Most Haunted Hotels of New England. So Sam, welcome.
Thanks, Sharon, for having me.
Now, this title is so intriguing. What is it about these hotels that you'd like to let our viewers know about? You said they're haunted. These are the most haunted in New England.
Well, the thing is, when I write my books, I work at these locations. So I decided to be a night auditor at 2 haunted hotels to do some research. And then I also went to all the haunted locations throughout New England while I was writing this book. And I had some really interesting experiences. One of my most memorable experiences was at the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast in Fall River.
Well, now, I was just going to ask you that, if you've had a first-person encounter.
Oh, yeah.
What was that like at the Lizzie Borden
It was
location?
one eye closed, one eye open. I had a dream that was related to Bridget Sullivan, who was the maid during the double homicide in Fall River.
Right.
And I had a group of people that were there that were from all over the country that were spending the night, and we were kind of like Scooby-Doo, going in the basement of the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast, and we were doing investigations. So my dreams basically said for me not to go. And I was scared, and I chickened out a couple of times, but I managed to go. And I'm glad I did, because I really connected with the spirits there.
Did you really? Now, from what I understand about the story, Lizzie Borden's father was like asleep on the chaise, and she came up behind him. Like, did you ever lie in those?
Yeah, well, she was acquitted of the murder, and but I do think that the crime has left a psychic imprint on the location.
Wow.
And I do think that because it's so popular on national television, all these paranormal investigators go there, that it stirs the pot. And the pot has been stirred, and there's a lot of activity that may or may not be original. So
Right.
a lot of the ghosts there may be attachments from other shows like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters,
Right.
And they're hitchhikers, and they stow away there.
So have you ever had an experience, a paranormal experience, where it's been kind of funny or fun or not scary?
Yeah, so I was in Captain Grant's Inn, which was in Preston, Connecticut, and there was a ghost there. His name was Liam, and he was the gay ghost of of the Captain Grant's Inn, and I got hit
Okay.
on by a ghost.
No, was he cute? I'm sorry, too much?
Well, I do know Liam actually jumped on somebody before me, so he has no boundaries whatsoever. So that was a little interesting. I've run across a lot of little kids. I usually connect with women and children. And Liam, but a lot of my ghostly encounters are related to kids. When I was at Captain Grant's, my shoe was stolen, so I was missing my Ken and Cole shoe.
You needed that. So you have this ability to be very sensitive to these spirits. Is it ever burdensome? Do you ever feel as though, gosh, I don't feel like feeling this aura today?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, especially with my social life. I mean, with all my friends, they're like, "Oh, you're going to another haunted hotel? Cool." Yeah, so it's definitely something that it's both a blessing and a curse. But I do think that it's something that I'm supposed to do, and I do enjoy it. I think that this book, out of all the books I've written, and this is number 8, 13 Most Haunted Hotels and Inns of New England, is probably the most fun.
So which hotel would you suggest out of all of them for your viewers and your readers to go visit?
Well, I definitely think Captain Grant's in Connecticut was fantastic. It has a cemetery in the back of it.
Okay.
Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast, if you haven't done it, you have to do it. I do think the energy there is a little potentially negative. It's an
Really?
entity there. So stay away from the basement. If you don't go in the basement, then you're fine. And then I definitely recommend the Providence Biltmore. And that is a beautiful historic hotel built supposedly by a Satanist. So there's a lot of evil
Oh my goodness.
that lurks in the halls. There was actually supposedly a chicken coop on the top floor, and there were animal sacrifices that happened on the top floor of the Providence
wow.
Biltmore. That's probably legend,
Right.
but there's a lot of energy there, and it's also in Providence, and it's a great location to visit.
So let me ask you, where can our viewers find your book?
Well, you go on Amazon. I go to 13mosthaunted.com. Just type in Sam Baltrusis, and you'll find all of my 8 books. And the 13 Most Haunted Hotels and Inns of New England is coming out in October.
Right.
And my bestseller is always going to be Ghost of Salem. So that's
Right.
you can find that one too. So you haven't read Ghost of Salem, Haunts of the Witch City, then you should definitely read it.
And if you go visit Salem, you can go visit Wicked Good Books, and they should have all of your books there.
Absolutely. They have most of my books there. Not a lot of my 13 Most Haunted books, but definitely Ghost of Salem. And because they want to have books that are just Salem-centric.
Right.
But I do think that the ghost world, I'm expanding beyond Salem and Boston. And I'm glad to be able to do that with my most recent book.
Sounds so exciting. Well, Mr. Baltrusis, thank you for joining us today.
And we're going to actually talk to my friend Kevin, who did this amazing Salem Horror Fest.
Oh, that sounds so exciting.
It's so cool. Let's check it out. You have a big event coming up in September and October, and this is why you're here. So it's the Salem Horror Fest, and tell me about that.
Oh, long time coming. I'm a huge Halloween freak. I just have always been drawn to Salem. Grew up on Elvira, and
I love Elvira.
Who doesn't? And Joe Briggs on TNT's Monster Vision, and so growing up as this, sort of bullied gay boy, really latched on to these horror hosts, and for me, horror, because of them, they sort of recontextualized horror in a fun, wild, spunky way. And so I have this sort of nostalgic, cheery feeling when it comes to horror that some people don't really get. I'm like, oh, it's so much fun, blood and guts. But it's largely due to the fact that Elvira and Joe Briggs kind of brought humor to it, and there's a sort of craft and satire that comes with the horror genre that I've always really latched onto. And to your point about Salem, Salem's history, Salem has an authority when it comes to fear. And we have a responsibility to sort of remind the world what happens when fear runs amok, because you can go anywhere and people are going to know what Salem is. It's sort of this international brand recognition. And so, of course, everyone's going to say, oh, the witches. And there are plenty of people who are really annoyed and sick of hearing about the witches. But it's important. And I think that, Salem, we need to do everything we can to remind the world what can happen. And horror has always been a great way to explore cultural fears.
I love that you're taking a cerebral approach to horror, and I think that the people, there's sort of like the surface level, and I think people that just like blood and guts, like they'll be interested in this as well.
For sure.
But I think that there's also there's layers to it, and when we first started talking about the Salem Horror Fest, I was very excited about those layers. Now, tell me about, so it's going to be a couple of weeks that it's going to unfold at the weekends starting in September?
Yeah, we open on September 21st at the Peabody Essex Museum, which I have to pinch myself every day to be like, wait, I'm throwing a horror-related festival in partnership with the Peabody Essex Museum. They have an amazing exhibit coming out. It's Kirk Hammett, the guitarist from Metallica, has a classic horror collection like no other. It's insane, and it's going to be on display at the Peabody Essex Museum. And so we're partnering with them to sort of bring the horror community to the museum and come embrace this exhibit, and also explore these subtextual themes. And so that kicks off with an evening night party at the museum on September 21st.
So there's parties and there's going to be screenings too.
Yes, 18 in fact.
18 screenings.
Yes.
And can you get like a VIP pass for the whole shebang?
In fact, I recommend it. As a Halloween freak, part of being a horror fan is this sort of tradition of a horror movie a day, and I've always had my checklist or my calendar where on this day I watched Hellraiser, or I watched The Howling 4, and so I kind of want to recreate that experience and sort of offer people that if they want to hunker down and see a bunch of really great horror, get the VIP pass. You get access to everything, and you get to fill out on this day. I saw Night of the Living Dead and Matinee and Gods and Monsters.
Now, you're also going to bring in like celebrities too that
Yes.
are from the horror films, and are people going to be able to meet these people?
Yes, we have meet
Okay.
and greets in partnership with Count Orlok's Nightmare Gallery on Derby Street, which is another incredible museum in Salem, one of my favorites. And so we are bringing Laura Park Lincoln, who is one of my favorite final girls from Friday the 13th, Part 7, who will be in town at the same time as Kane Hodder, who many of you might know him as the ultimate Jason Voorhees. He played Jason Voorhees, the man behind the mask, from Part 7 through 10. Jason X. So they're coming. We're also bringing Ken Foree, who is a helicopter pilot in Dawn of the Dead, to be part of this Salem Horror Award, in which we're going to honor Dwayne Jones, the black actor from Night of the Living Dead, for his cultural contribution to the genre as being one of the first positive portrayals of a person of color in the hero role in cinema. So Ken Foree, being in Dawn of the Dead, sort of carried that torch and is going to speak about his friendship with Dwayne Jones and working with George Romero, and his own experience in the industry.
I like that you're shedding a spotlight on the portrayal of the African American, like people of color on in film.
Yeah.
And like, do you think that that's changing? Because there's a lot of movies that came out recently that I really think is a positive representation.
Very much so. It's long time coming, long overdue rather, but Get Out was a huge success. Jordan Peele's directorial debut, and I feel like he really, hit it on the spot of how effective horror can be and how it can represent true fears in our society and our culture, and when it comes to identity. Roger Ebert has this great quote about movies being empathy machines and how they allow us to experience life through other people's perspectives. And so my goal for Salem Horror Fest is to find a way to facilitate people experiencing each other's fears as a way to create a greater sense of understanding and empathy of where that's coming from.
So if people want to get tickets, where do they go?
SalemHorror.com. And check out our Facebook page. We got all kinds of exclusive content that we're releasing per event, per screening. We're doing double feature screenings at Cinema Salem 7 nights in a row, and they all are paired together based around a sort of common theme. There's intersectionality throughout the entire festival and the entire program. But they largely deal with race, gender, sexuality, colonialism, and media, the role of media in our society. And so this is not a lecture. We're not here to tell anyone what to think or what to feel, but we really just want people to, first and foremost, have fun, but sort of expand their perception of what horror is and can be, and understand that these movies, in a lot of cases, are saying something about what scares us, or maybe not you personally, but it scares someone. And this gives us an opportunity to feel and understand others.
I'm so excited about Salem Horror Fest coming up in September and October. Kevin, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks,
Thank
Sam.
you so
This
much
was really
for your
fun.
time. And get your tickets now. I'm telling you, they're going to sell out. So thank you.
Awesome.
We're going to run a promo of Salem Horror Fest.
See you there.
We will not prematurely or unnecessarily risk the costs of worldwide nuclear war, but neither will we shrink from that risk at any time it must be faced.
The whole world's gonna blow up anyway, so we should just do whatever we want. They're gonna bomb us?
Today, there is no safe place to be.
And welcome back to the special Halloween edition of What's New Massachusetts. Sharon, that was a great show.
It was. There's so much to do in Salem, like the Salem Horror Fest.
Yeah, the Salem Horror Fest with Kevin Lynch. He did a fantastic job. There's also the PBD Essex Museum, which has an exhibit that goes all the way up until November with all these great artifacts, classic horror.
Wow, that's exciting. Now, those of you who are horror fans need to come up and check it out.
Absolutely. And Salem is fun in October, but it's also fun in November and December as well.
It's fun all year round, but remember, if you go in October, prepare to be shoulder to shoulder with people. It's going to be packed.
Absolutely. And Haunted Happenings is throughout the entire month. So a lot of people want to come on actual Halloween. I would recommend coming on the weekends leading up. Start early October. It's fewer people. And as you get closer to Halloween, that's when the veil between the living and the dead gets thinner. But it's also when more people come to Salem.
And you know, it's very interesting. Even though Salem is known for its horror, it's really a family town. So it's a great town to bring children and teenagers, adults, older people. Everyone can really have a good time in Salem.
Salem is great. I do think it gets a little rowdy in Halloween. So there's a different crowd that comes in October. And I've written a book about it, Ghosts of Salem Haunts the Witch City. So I know a lot about it. I spent a couple of years there. But I do think that it's one of those towns that definitely has a lot of history, and I think that people should revel in that history.
Right.
And it's not just witch trials history.
Exactly. There's so much more. And what I like about Salem is that they've really preserved some of the memorials there. So you can tour. I think there's a judge's house where you can go in, you can tour. They've really tried to preserve the architectural integrity of the town.
Yeah, the Jonathan Corwin house, which is known as the Witch House, is the last house standing with ties to the witch trials.
Wow.
But there's so much more that has ties to the witch trials. There's a new memorial that has been at the location of the exact hangings where the hangings took place in 1692.
Wow.
And it's really somber. I kind of stumbled on it with my friend Andy.
Right.
We were going there, and it was just something about it. First of all, it's behind a Walgreens, so it's not a great location for a memorial. And then so Andy and I went to the Walgreens and we're looking for this location, and you can feel the energy there, and that's where innocent people were hanged. So I think it's important for us to revel in sort of the Halloween spirit, but also to pay homage to those who were sacrificed in this time of year. So
Absolutely.
It was a really horrible time in Boston, Salem, and New England as a whole.
It was. However, it is part of the history of Massachusetts, and that's why it's such a great place to go to see something like that, but also, once again, to see all of Salem and to take in everything that it has to offer.
So Sharon, during the summer, you went to Wicked Good Books, which is one of my favorite locations.
I love Salem. I love to eat. So I love Salem. They have so many different shops, like, the bookshop is there. Anything you want to do is right there. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a walking town. Nice, easy walking. Even the traffic, the people who drive around there are nice. They wait for you to cross the street. Great place to go to and just spend the day.
Well, I am excited about Hotel Salem. It's opening up in October.
Yes.
It's part of the Lark Hotel group, and they have hotels in some of the nicest areas, including Salem, which was the old Joshua Ward house turned into the Merchant. And the new Salem Hotel is on Essex Street, which is the heart of everything, and hopefully it's going to open up before Halloween.
Right, and the hotels are really beautiful. It's not just, just your regular run-of-the-mill hotel. They're really nice.
It's a 46-room hotel. There's a lot of event space, so it's not too big of a hotel. It's like a nice boutique hotel, perfect for Halloween.
And actually, I love hotels like that. Sometimes you don't want to be around a whole lot of people, but a hotel like that is really fun to be in.
Absolutely. So we're going to check out your visit to Wicked Good Books.
Yes.
And I hope everyone has an amazing Halloween, and see you next month.
Bye.
Bye.
This is Sharon Filliard for What's New Massachusetts. Here we are at Wicked Good Books, a bookstore located in the witch city of Salem, Massachusetts. We're about to speak to the co-owner, Miss Denise Kent, in just a moment. Here we are now with Miss Denise Kent, one of the owners of Wicked Good Books, located here in Salem, Massachusetts. Miss Kent, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for being here.
Now, this is a wonderful location. Even coming here, you're looking up and down Essex Street. There are so many wonderful people enjoying the sun. What demographic does your bookstore cater to?
Well, we have our fantastic locals. Salem has a really great local downtown neighborhood. A lot of people live and work and play here. And we also serve a lot of visitors. You know, we have a lot of tourists that come to Salem for its history. So it's really two kind of very different demographics.
Indeed. Now, I know that our own Sam Baltrusis has a few of his books showcased here. Now, Salem is known for the witch trials. A lot of people come here during Halloween. So is the majority of your books, or a vast portion of your books, catered to the hauntings and, you know, evil spirits and witches?
Well, yeah, it depends on what people are looking for. We have a vast array of books that are about Salem's history, and that does include, of course, witch history. It also includes maritime history. You know, we have a really rich history in literature as well. Many local writers to the North Shore, and as well as our architecture, and we have just a beautiful, thriving city, and I think it's going through a real renaissance right now. And I embrace all of the parts of Salem history. That's what makes it special here.
Of course. Now, speaking of that architecture, your store. Now, you've done a great deal of renovations. You've altered the store, but can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay, well, this store was a bookstore. It was a family bookstore for almost 40 years, and it was a used bookstore. People remembered it as having, you know, towering books going up to the ceiling, and those guys were retiring, and we were really concerned that there wouldn't be a general bookstore in Salem. And there had been another bookstore in Salem as well that had closed. So we sort of panicked and and decided to go into the bookstore business. And so here we are, and it's been a real labor of love.
I know that there's a hotel located somewhere nearby that's new.
There's a lot of new construction here in Salem, and yes, there's a hotel called the Hotel Salem that's being built right next door to us, and that's going to have outdoor dining, and it's going to have a rooftop restaurant. It's a boutique hotel. There's quite a few new construction projects going on, including a new restaurant around the corner. It's just a great place to come and eat and shop, and now we're going to have more hotel space so people can stay.
Now, that's very interesting. Now, just to give an idea to our viewers who are not familiar with the Salem area, how close are we to all of the historical sites and tours from Essex Street?
We are right in the center of everything. So Essex Street is sort of the heart of, you know, the dining, shopping, and historical section. And Salem is fairly walkable. I mean, you don't need a car. Come here by ferry, come here by train, and you can walk to all the good stuff.